How's it going, y'all? Welcome to the next episode on Starting on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S. And today I'll be giving you my review on Selma, the story of how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. marched for us black folks in the South to free us from the segregation of voting rights, of voting laws in the South. So before I begin, if you are new to this video, if this is the first video you are seeing on my channel, don't you forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the section below. Most importantly, watch it from beginning to end. And if you're watching this on Instagram, same thing. Don't you forget to follow me if you're new to my page. Share it with your closest friends and family and relatives. And don't forget to like and leave a comment on the section below. And yes, watch till the very end, even though it may be more than 10 minutes. Let's get to it. So, Selma. Although the Civil Rights Act of 1964 legally desegregated the entire South, discrimination is still running rampant in certain areas, making it very hard for blacks to register to vote. In 1965, an Alabama city named Selma became the battleground in the fight for suffrage. But despite all the violent opposition, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his followers pressed forward on an epic march from Selma to Montgomery, and their efforts culminated in President Lyndon B. Johnson signing the Voting Rights Act of 1965. What a coincidence. Now, I know what some of y'all are about to say before I even get into the section. We all know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how his nonviolent approach for desegregation in the South shook the world with the amount of significance this had on our future, or at least most of it. However, this was not about the issues of racism per se, although every biographies like this are going to have racism. They are bound to have racism in them. But the issue of the unequal law to vote was the focus of the film. The director, Ava DuVernay, wanted to focus more on Dr. King's fight towards the right for black people to vote, and the lengths she went with the storytelling by showing how high the stakes are for the Negroes and Dr. King, and how much it costs those who support this movement, like the carpetbaggers from the North. It looks like this movie takes place after his iconic I Have a Dream speech, because in the synopsis it did say the majority of the South was desegregated. However, despite such a movement of 2,800 people, if I'm not wrong, in Washington, D.C., this racism still continues. Now, I will say, as a recent first-time voter, yes, I did vote. It is very important. I strongly see the value and importance of voting and how it can affect our future. Dr. King's fight for the right to vote as an African-American citizen reaches further as he comes to terms with the president and the judges during this conflict. The characters. Dr. Martin Luther King is one of the most influential African-American icons and civil rights leaders in the history of this country. Better yet, he's so important to the history of our people, in black history, that, I don't know, he's always the go-to person for every project and every black history project you've ever had in elementary school, including me. We've always said Martin Luther King because it was easy to explain him. You could just, in a nutshell, you could simply say he was the man that brought black and whites together. But he was more than that. He didn't just bring black and whites together. He just brought freedom to the black people. He brought black people to the same level as everybody else, to prevent them from feeling like subhumans or feeling treated any less than how they should. He's become very notorious with his nonviolent and peaceful approach that rivals that of Malcolm X, who goes for the by any means necessary power to the people, including violence, when it comes to speaking towards these trials and tribulations. Now, just like I mentioned before, Dr. King is called down to Selma to desegregate the laws for voting. Not necessarily civil rights, but voting, period. Now, David Oyelowo, if that's how you pronounce it, he perfectly captures the peaceful essence of the preacher and surrounds himself with a group of people who will peacefully support the movement to allow Negroes to vote in the South. Like, for those of y'all who don't even know how to protest correctly, if you want to know how to peacefully protest, no matter what the situation is, look at this man. It doesn't matter what was going on. He always he always stayed true to the will of God, and how his goal was to get through and to bring his message across that all we want to do is request freedom and respect for our people. Now, this group of Negroes that lead the peaceful protests is led by James Bevel, played by Carmen, John Lewis, played by Stephen James, and Reverend Hosea Williams, played by Wendell Pierce. They are constantly challenged and threatened by the local residents and officers, but are being warned by President Lyndon B. Johnson. It's not that Lyndon B. Johnson isn't for this, because it's surprising how the president will be for the African American leaders and what they're standing on, because Lyndon B. Johnson was just telling him that if he goes this route, it's going to be chaos, it's going to be open season, it's going to be riots out in the street. Here's the thing, Dr. King knows what the cost is, but you know what? It's not about the storm, it's about what's on the other side of the storm. I guess I learned that from a certain ministry group. But due to Dr. King's perseverance in doing the will of God, this did not stop him from trying to set the rest of his brothers and sisters free. Dr. King states that anybody who stands by and watches the violence is for it. Therefore, they are afraid to speak, or they just want the violence to happen. But if you stand up and stand out in the crowd trying to fight for freedom, then you are against the violence. And another quote that's from him that even applies to this day, that can even go good to this day, is, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot draw out hate. Only love can do that. And he did that better than anybody else in the history of our country. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 99% score. It was an almost perfect score. Almost. This powerful biography serves as a reassuring tale to America that this world was, is, and always will be cursed with hate and violence. But at the same time, you know what? We can't completely make this world perfect. We cannot completely strip the world of its flaws and the things that makes it so violent. But what we can do is each and every one of us can bring change to this country through the freedom of speech. And the freedom of speech could come in the form of literal speaking, protestings, and movements that help make this country better than it was before. So for that, I will give this movie 8.9 SOs out of 10. So that is my review on Selma. You can let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. How does this compare? How would you compare this to some of the other biographies you've seen focusing on racism or trying to change the systematics? You can comment that in the section below. And like I said, I'm a first-time voter. If I hadn't mentioned that in this video already, I am a first-time voter, and I see the value and importance in voting. Now, most people who are my age, who look like me, will go out and vote, and others won't. That's fine. But C is for the ones who wish we could do, this country could take us, that we could be in better places in this country than right now. That it's all in your hands. It depends on your vote. I mean, I can't say who I voted for, and you shouldn't say who you voted for, but the least you can do is go out to the polls and vote and choose wisely based off of what these candidates stand for and what they stand on and what they are determined to do to make this country a better place to reside. And like I said, this Black Lives Matter playlist is almost over. So I can honestly, because originally the whole purpose of this playlist in the first place was ever since the George Floyd incident. And I was originally supposed to bring you 10 movies, 10 good examples of what advocates for Black Lives Matter. But I've been giving you more, and that's what I like to do. I'm very proud that I've been giving you more than what I was expecting. Like, The Hate You Give was the first on the list, then Just Mercy, then If Beale Street Could Talk, and then Selma. So I'm going to finish off this list for a couple of movies like Waves, I Am Not Your Negro, Black Klansman, etc. But you know what? There could be more. I could honestly put more on this list than those 10 films that I originally put on right now that you can watch right now, because racism is still a reoccurring problem in this country, and we can do everything we can to stop the racism with the protests and the freedom of speech. Like I said, you can go out and protest, but it's not the fact that you protest or that you speak, it's how you do it. So that's all I have for you today. I'll see you guys tomorrow with my Way Back Wednesday series. Bye.